Hi, welcome to episode 362 of The Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known on Instagram and Twitter as Fluffy Kira. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, which is where this episode and every episode show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea where I sell my handspun yarns and knitting patterns. Hi, how are you? It is Monday, January 24th, and it is going to be the warmest day it is all week at 50 degrees. We are bouncing around still in our temperatures. I think on Wednesday the low is going to be 9 degrees. These are all Fahrenheit. So today it is positively balmy, but I am indoors, snuggled in one of my favorite sweaters. This is the Moxie pullover by Amy Christoffers, and I knit it out of my handspun. Some handspun from Hello Yarn. So I hope that you are doing well and that your week is off to a good start. Last week was so-so for crafting. I often find when I am not on a deadline, I am not a procrastinator when it comes to knits in general. I don't put things off. I like to plan early and get through things, and I also find that with all of my sample knitting that I need to do that. But when I have a period of time where I don't have anything that is due right away, I often find that I'm a little adrift and I don't precisely know what to work on and I don't get motivated to finish something right away. And so I've been a little bit adrift and kind of floating from project to project in the last few weeks. So I have some things to show you today, but not as much progress as I might have hoped. So we'll just see, and maybe this week will be the week. So other than that, things here are great. My husband turned 50 on Saturday. Unfortunately, we couldn't really do much of a celebration because the pandemic rages on, but we enjoyed each other's company. We got some takeout, and then I baked him some brownies. I did sort of a riff on German chocolate cake. And I baked fudgy brownies and then used coconut pecan frosting on top of them. So those are delicious, and we've eaten most of the tray of them this weekend. I didn't make a huge, I just made a small batch. And so I think we'll be finishing those tonight, sort of a bittersweet birthday for him. Like I said, I would have enjoyed throwing him a party, and I may do so a little bit later this year if things shape up a bit and we can maybe hold a party outdoors. But right now was just really not the time. But we had a good time celebrating. I got him a new seat for his bike. He is an avid bicycler, both indoors and out, and he drops his bike into the trainer in the winter, and so he was excited for that. So it was something that he had sort of picked out already, but I went ahead and bought it for him for his birthday. So I hope that you're doing well. We can move on to sort of the regular items in the podcast. Today I am drinking what was designed as cold brew tea, but I had a glass of it hot last night and it was lovely, so I decided to have it again today. It is Tea Pig's Cold Brew Peach and Mango. I don't know if you can see it. The screen is reflecting kind of odd, but I think you probably can. And it is a naturally decaffeinated tea with no added sugar. It also says plant-based packaging. I'm hoping that the tea temples actually are not plastic. I know that I have seen some things on the internet about some places that use tea temples that are not plant-based and are plastic. So that's not great, but I had already bought these. Oh yes, it says they're made from plant starch, biodegradable and suitable for commercial composting. So yeah, looks like plastic, but it's made from wood pulp. So actually all of the packaging in here is compostable. That's kind of cool. Anyway, so that is from Tea Pigs, and I am drinking that today in my National World War II Museum, World War I Museum Poppies mug, and the museum is here in Kansas City, and several years ago they did kind of a knit club. They called it Mrs. Wilson's Knitting Circle, and that is because President Wilson was president during the Great War, and Mrs. Wilson had a knitting circle. They actually had sheep grazing the front lawn at the White House, and of course during the First World War here in the US there was an emphasis on supporting the troops. The American Red Cross distributed needles and patterns and yarn, and everybody knit socks for the soldiers abroad. So yeah, but it's a nice mug, and the tea is delicious. I added just a little bit of sweetener, and it is sweet and fruity. Of course, it does not have caffeine to get me through the afternoon, but I already had a cup of coffee today because the coffee was really great with the brownies. So I made a big pot of coffee this weekend. So yes, I've got a little bit of each of my favorites. So let's get started on the knits. I do have one tiny finished knit this week, as I had hoped to. I finished Miles' Valentine's Day socks. I had one of these finished last week and just the very cuff for the second, but now I have a pair. These are just my standard vanilla sock recipe, which is a 2x2 rib up at the top, some amount of leg. I made these fairly short, a slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset, then down to a rounded toe. So that is basically how I knit all my socks, and then I just vary them based on the person that I'm knitting for, how many stitches I cast on, and how long I knit for. I believe these were 50 stitches on US ones, and the yarn that I used is Woolly Wonka Fibers, who is no longer dyeing, but it is her Whoville colorway. They were vaguely Christmas themed socks, Whoville being from the Grinch Who Stole Christmas. And so they are pink and red and a little bit of green. It comes across a little bit yellow on here, but they are kind of a bright, limey, chartreusey, swampy green. And those are done. So I am excited. It is January 24th, and I finished the second sock last night. So now both children are going to get pairs of socks. I got some candy, and I just ordered some notepads with their names on them. And so that will be just a little fun Valentine's Day package, a little something to brighten up the winter days. And actually we talked to them this weekend, and they are just delightful. They were painting and making art as we spoke, and telling us about what they like in school and all kinds of things. So yeah, so those are done. And I probably won't cast on another pair of socks immediately because I have another project in mind when I have some spare needles. And right now I have 2 fingering weight sweaters going. So let's talk about those. The first of those is a sweater for my mom for her birthday, which is in March. I am knitting Joji Locatelli's Night Out cardigan, which is a fingering weight cardigan. It is a top-down raglan shaped cardigan, and then it has beautiful lace panels at the button bands. And last week I had just separated for the sleeves, and this week I'm between 5 and 6 inches, I think about 6 inches in, so I am into the waist shaping. So I do have a little bit of progress to show you, not as much as I had hoped. It kind of looks more or less the same, except there's a little bit more of it. I had been hoping maybe I'd really crank through the body this week, but I just did not. So this is what it looks like. As I said, it is a top-down sweater with raglan shaping. Last week I showed you I had separated for the sleeves, and then this week I got more into the body. I don't think the contrast in the yarn is quite as stark as it is showing up on the camera. I mean, I can definitely see it, but it is a little bit more muted. It's not quite as pronounced. The yarn that I am using is Manos del Uruguay Alegria, which is their fingering weight. It is a 75-25 blend of superwash merino and nylon, and it is in the colorway Thistle. And I selected this because I thought it would be easy to care for. Technically, it is machine washable, although I will probably just include some Eucalan with the package and suggest that my mom hand wash it. But technically it is machine washable, and then you can lay it flat to dry, so it would be a great yarn if you want to make kid stuff. Anyway, like I said, it's a top-down raglan. It's got this really nice lace panel at the button bands, which I think now you can see a little bit more now that I can kind of get into it and show you. And so I am just continuing to work on that. And I have about... well, I'm a little less than halfway through the body, so I'm hoping maybe I can finish the body this week and then go on to the sleeves. Again, my mom requested a sweater, and she lives in Los Angeles, which does not get terribly cold. And so I decided that a fingering weight sweater would be best for her, and particularly a fingering weight cardigan. I did grab some buttons from my friend Anna's button stash, which is not a euphemism for anything. She has a huge jar of buttons she has gotten at estate sales. And so I found some mother of pearl buttons, which I think are going to be just lovely. I actually have 2 sizes, and so I will see what size seems to fit the best. And I am just doing my buttonholes in the button band is constructed as you continue the lace patterning. So I will just need to attach the buttons appropriately when I finish and then go back and do the sleeves. The sweater is a size small. I am hoping that it will fit. My mom is very tiny. She's much smaller than I am. So my hope is that this will fit her nicely. And I do think I will get a little bit of expanding because it is superwash. So when I wash and block it, it should be a little bit larger. So yeah, but that is going, it is not going as quickly as it could. I think part of the reason that well, so it's a very plain sweater, which makes it great for TV knitting and watching. But I think part of what's keeping me from going faster on it is also the lace repeat at the edges. For some reason, even though this is the second time I've knit this, I find that lace repeat impossible to memorize. It's mirrored on either side, and I just have to keep the chart in front of me. And so the chart, I think, is about 16 rows. And by the time I finish the 16 rows, I'm like, okay, I'm done for the night. So I'm just not moving that quickly, and I am working on another sweater, which I hate to say it, but it's kind of my favorite. It's for me, and I'm having fun, and I'm really, at least for a little bit, I was at the point where I was like, I want to do a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more just to see how it looks. So this one, again, is Joji Locatelli's Night Out cardigan, and I am knitting it with Manos del Uruguay Alegria in the colorway Thistle. I'm knitting it as written in the small size. So hopefully I'll finish the body this week and then be on to the sleeves, and if I'm lucky, maybe be done with that by very early February ahead of the March deadline. So, and the deadline being her birthday. So the second project I have on the needles right now is a sweater for myself, and this is Veera Valmaki's Breathing Space. And this is a case where I had some yarn that I was trying to figure out how to use, and I went perusing sweaters, and I decided maybe I could do something a little different than the pattern actually called for and knit myself a sweater. So, and I have more of a look for you to see it. So I started with the yarn. This is a Zen Yarn Garden Gradient Quartet. Again, it's not precisely a gradient, although all the colors in the package do go together. It's not a gradient the way I think of a gradient sort of smoothly moving between colors. I have a white with speckles of pink and red and blue that goes with the pink, which reminds me a little bit of flamingo or lipstick. It's got red and pink and orange. And then I've got the teal is probably the only one that is not super multicolored because it is just a deep dark teal. And then I've got kind of this purpley color, which is like a burgundy. It's got some of the bright pink in it. It's got some of the teal in it, and it's even got just little bits of white in it. So these colorways were meant to go together. Like I said, this is a gradient quartet. It's approximately 800 yards of 100% superfine superwash merino. It is a really, really nice squishy base, and I had 2 sets of this, which is more than enough yardage to complete Breathing Space. However, Breathing Space is a sweater by Veera Valmaki that it's designed for fingering weight yarn, and it's a top that is designed a little bit askew, and so you have a top part that is solid, and then you have quite a bit of striping in the body, and then the bottom is solid again. And so in working with this, I decided that I was going to use the teal color as the solid color for the top and the bottom. And that was because I thought these three colors kind of worked well together as stripes, and I was trying to figure out like how exactly to work things together. So I am using the white speckle, the pink, and the kind of dark multi for the stripes. And I actually got into the stripes this week. I have just finished separating for the sleeves, and so I have done about 6 of the stripes. And at least right now the stripes are all even. I haven't started the short rowing yet, which will put them askew. So this is what I have so far. And let me see which side is the one side actually has some short row shaping. Okay, this is the front. So what I have is kind of a top down. It had some raglan shaping, and then I am right at the top of the striping section, and that white just pops. I realized that was going to do that as I did it, but I do think actually that the striping looks nice, and I'm hoping that it will carry through. There are colors in the white that pick up the other colors, the multi and also the blue. You can see like right here there's a pop of blue, and up here there's a pop of kind of the brown burgundy, and so I think they're actually going to work really nicely together, although it's definitely going to be a little busier. The original in the pattern was done in, I believe, a dark gray and a like white or silver, so very kind of simple contrast. This one is definitely going to be brighter than that, but I think I'm actually going to like it quite a bit. So I used teal for the top, and my plan is to use teal for the solid part at the bottom. So meanwhile, I am striping these 3 colors, and that's actually the order in which I am striping them, although because it is only 3 colors, they all kind of touch and abut one another. So that is what I'm working on. Like I said, I just divided for the sleeves, which means I have a few more striping rounds to go before I start to work in some short rows, and then which will add some of the making it a little bit askew, so it will it'll be kind of an A-line with one side a little bit longer than the other. So it's going to be bright and a little crazy, but I'm actually hopeful that it will work out. And the nice thing about this is basically what I have is I have the equivalent, each of these mini skeins is 200 yards. So I basically have the equivalent of 400 yards or a full skein of fingering weight in 4 colors. So if this works out nicely, it could mean that if you have 4 skeins of fingering weight, you could turn them into a breathing space or another sweater, you know, even if they don't all go together. So, or if, you know, there's something that sort of ties them together, but you don't just have to do it in 2 colors. So I'm experimenting a little bit. Again, the white is a little bit bright, but I am really happy. I did not want to use the white on top to keep the darker colors together, and I do think it will provide a much needed contrast. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully next week I will have more to show you, although I suspect that once I get into some of the short row shaping, it's just going to be all bunched up on a needle. Right now I'm using a 24-inch needle, so yeah. And I am knitting this in the size medium. It's a 38-inch bust. I misspoke last week saying that there was ease in this one. There is actually ease in a different sweater I was looking at. This one is knit with I think they said 0 to 2 inches of, I can't remember whether it was positive or negative ease, but basically I'm knitting it for about 0 inches of ease. And again, this is superwash, so I do think it will grow slightly, but I think it's about the right size. Once I get a little further down, I will probably put it on, I'll probably, before I go ahead into the short row shaping, I will probably try it on just to make sure that the top part works for me, so that once I get into the short row shaping, I will be sure that I'm going to end up with a sweater that fits. But I think I should be fine based on how it's laying out right now. It is a little scrunched up on the needle, but I don't think I should have trouble. So that is the plan as I move forward on that one. I also am going to be starting a new shawl. I didn't bring the yarn with me, but my aunt and I have been corresponding quite a bit lately. And she is a quilter, an avid quilter. She has multiple sewing machines, and she has embroidery machines, and she has also started to get into garment sewing. And mostly she has sewn garments for my niece and nephew because they're cute and little, and much as knitting, it's easy to do small garments. But she bought some fabric this week that had a knitting pattern on it and said, I want to make you something. So she offered to make me either a top or a dress or something like that. And so I am picking out some patterns and letting her know a little bit about what style I like. And so I decided that I needed to knit her a shawl in return. And I had recently gotten a few skeins of beautiful yarn, and I ordered one more skein because basically I had gotten 2 skeins. Her favorite color is purple. And I had gotten 2 skeins in glorious purples as a gift from someone. And I realized that if I ordered a 3rd skein in kind of a really, really light lavender or a silvery color, that I could do something like a color affection, which I think would be lovely. Again, she lives in California. She's down more towards San Diego, but the weather is warm year round. But I thought maybe just a nice shawl that would be nice to wrap over her shoulders on a cool evening, or just use as an accessory. And I love color affection. I have one. Whenever I wear it, I get a ton of comments. It is also a pattern by Veera Valmaki, so I guess I'm calling this the Joji and Veera show today. They designed together for interpretations. They have several volumes. I think they're up to 8 for that. But Veera's shawl is absolutely beautiful. It's done in 3 colors and it's garter stitch, which I find soothing and amazing to knit. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see that one on the needles possibly next week. I need to wait for the 3rd skein to show up, and I'll probably start with that one because I'll probably start with the lightest color and move towards the darkest color. So that is kind of what's on my needles. I'm sorry it's not more varied right now, but while I'm working on a few of these longer term projects, I think it's going to be a little bit more of the same in the next couple weeks. I have not yet had a sample mailed to me, but I do know that's coming as well. So I don't know, keep your fingers crossed. Maybe there will be some new things next week. So sip of tea, and then let's do spinning, and then I will get you on out of here. So I did finish a braid, although I didn't have time to wash it. I finished plying it on Saturday evening, and so I'm going to wash it this evening, so it won't be quite up in the Etsy store when you watch this. This one that I spun, I think I showed you part of the fiber last week. I had already started spinning it. This was a braid of 2 If by Hand, which was one of my favorite dyers. They sadly are no longer dyeing. And the colorway was called Flowers and Football Tops. And it was a turquoise blue, a bright, bright pink, and kind of a caramel brown. And so I spun that up. It came out really nicely. Like I said, it still needs a good wash. You can see that the twist is a little bit off here. It just needs a wash to set everything up. But this turned out really nicely. I think I spun this as a sort of a partial fractal. I can't remember. I might have talked about this last week. I think I divided the fiber in half, and then I spun 1/2 in tiny strips and 1/2 in slightly longer strips. I think I divided 1/2 into 4 strips and 1/2 into 2 strips. So what I end up with is a lot of overlap between the colors, sections where you really get barber pulling. But then I also end up with sections like here where the blues came together. So you just have a blue ply, or let's see if I can find, I have sections where the pinks came together. So it's just a pink ply. It's 2 plies of the pink. So this is going to be a really nice yarn. It is on Blue Face Leicester. So it is soft, but it is also sturdy, and it's got just a little bit of a shine to it. And that is due to the fiber properties. Blue Face Leicester is a slightly longer stapled wool. And I think it would be great for socks, even though it's not superwash. My guess is I got about 350 yards. It will not poof up. BFL is not terribly poofy, which also means it doesn't shrink a ton when you wash it and set it to dry. Versus, say, like some of the finer crimped merinos. BFL just does not have a lot of crimp in it compared to something like Rambouillet. So that is what will be up in the shop this week, and it will be a little bit more attractive once I wash it and get it to settle down just a little bit. So the next thing that I am spinning is a new fiber. that I just ordered. I have spun fiber from Kumasi on Etsy before, and I just love the way they dye their colors. They are a queer artist living in San Francisco, and dye beautiful braids. The braids do not have names, and it seems like what they do is buy a batch of fiber and dye all in that batch. So at any given update, there's mostly only one kind of fiber there, but that's fine because all of the brands, or all of the breeds that they have used so far, I've enjoyed spinning. So this is a Falkland, and it is in real autumn tones, oranges, purples, and then kind of this real like swampy olivey green. I'm trying to find a good, here we go. Swampy kind of olivey green. It's coming across a little more brown or black on the camera, at least as what I can see, but here it is a very kind of swampy green. And so I'm calling this colorway Autumn Harvest. Like I said, her colorways don't come with color names, but it just reminds me of pumpkins and fall and just lovely autumn things, squash and eggplant and all the kinds of things that you get in the fall. So I am spinning that right now. That will also be for the Etsy shop. The Falkland was advertised as either 25 or 27 micron. Falkland is akin to BFL. It's a little bit, it just in the sense that it is a slightly longer fiber. This is very soft, but it also feels like it would be quite sturdy. It is not going to be the absolute softest merino, but it is still quite soft, and I do think you could wear it against your skin. You might just not want to wear it right up against your neck, but I think it would make lovely socks. It would make lovely mittens or other accessories to wear at any time of the year, but certainly during the fall. So that is what's going to come up on the wheel. And well, I guess it's already on the wheel. I'm about halfway done, and this is the second half, and I will work on that this week and hopefully have that to show you when I see you next week. So I hope that you are doing well, that you are staying healthy, that you are finding some crafting mojo. Mine seems to come and go. I have all the mojo for starting new projects and not the mojo for continuing to work on them and finish them, which is kind of funny because, like I said, I am definitely a product knitter, so I get the biggest boost from actually finishing something. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful week, and until I see you next time, I will say, as I always do, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye!